What is success? There is perhaps no concept more universally pursued yet more privately questioned than success. We chase it with remarkable determination, yet when we pause to examine what we're actually chasing, the definition becomes surprisingly elusive. Success shapeshifts depending on who is looking, when they're looking, and what they believe will finally make them feel successful. But observe how this concept operates in human consciousness. A young person imagines success as financial independence, creative recognition, or social status. They work toward these goals with genuine dedication, believing that achieving them will provide lasting satisfaction. Years later, having reached many of these benchmarks, they often discover something unexpected. The feeling of success remains as elusive as ever. This is not because their achievements were meaningless, but because success reveals itself to be a moving target, always retreating just beyond reach. Watch what happens when someone achieves what they previously defined as success. The promotion they worked toward for years brings momentary satisfaction, followed quickly by new questions. What's the next level? How do I maintain this position? Am I really qualified to be here? The goal that was supposed to provide a rival becomes merely another departure point. The millionaire looks at billionaires. The local champion observes national champions. The recognized artist studies those with greater recognition. Success becomes a hierarchy with no peak, a ladder with no final run, a game where the rules change every time you think you're winning. But perhaps more interesting than the external chase is what happens internally when someone dedicates their life to achieving success. The pursuit often requires sacrificing present experience for future achievement. Time with family is traded for career advancement. Current relationships are subordinated to networking opportunities. Immediate joy is deferred in service of long-term goals. The person succeeding according to external measures may simultaneously be failing to actually live their life. There is also the curious phenomenon of successful people who report feeling empty. They have achieved everything they thought they wanted, yet experience a hollow sensation where fulfillment was supposed to reside. This suggests that success and satisfaction may exist in entirely different realms of human experience. But this observation is not meant to diminish genuine achievement or suggest that all ambition is misguided. Skills can be developed, contributions can be made, problems can be solved. The question is whether we can engage with these activities without being enslaved by the concept of success. Consider someone who approaches their work with complete engagement, not because they seek recognition or advancement, but because the activity itself is absorbing. They may achieve remarkable results, but their satisfaction comes from the process rather than the outcome. Their success is a byproduct of presence rather than the goal of effort. This person might receive external recognition for their achievements, or they might not. Either way, their sense of fulfillment remains stable because it was never dependent on external validation to begin with. This points to a different understanding of success entirely. What if success is not something to be achieved in the future, but a quality of engagement available in the present? What if it has nothing to do with outcomes and everything to do with the wholehearted participation in whatever activity presents itself? From this perspective, the parent fully present with their child is experiencing success. The teacher genuinely connecting with students is successful. The janitor taking care in their work is successful. Not because these activities lead to conventional markers of achievement, but because they represent complete engagement with life as it is actually unfolding. There are cultures where individual success is not the primary organizing principle of society. In these communities, fulfillment comes through contribution to collective well-being rather than personal advancement. The success of the group becomes more important than the success of any individual member. This is not to romanticize collective societies or dismiss individual achievement, but to recognize that our relationship to success is culturally conditioned rather than biologically determined. What would happen if we temporarily set aside all inherited definitions of success and asked ourselves directly, what actually brings satisfaction? What creates a sense of meaningful engagement with life? Often, the answers are surprisingly simple. Moments of genuine connection with others. Periods of absorption in activities we find naturally engaging. Times when we feel useful, creative, or present. These experiences of satisfaction rarely require the external validation we typically associate with success. Perhaps the deepest success is the abandonment of the need to be successful. Not giving up on skillful action or meaningful contribution, but releasing the psychological burden of constantly measuring oneself against external standards. The person who discovers this freedom often continues to engage actively with life, but the relationship to outcomes changes completely. They work not to achieve success, but because work is an expression of their engagement with life. They create not to be recognized, but because creation is natural to consciousness. They contribute not to be seen as successful, but because contribution flows naturally from understanding. This is success without the concept of success. Achievement without the psychology of achievement. Recognition without the need for recognition. In this understanding, every moment offers the opportunity for complete success, not the success of getting what we want, but the success of being fully present to what is. Not the success of controlling outcomes, but the success of engaging wholeheartedly with whatever life presents. Can you imagine success that has nothing to do with comparison, competition, or external validation? Can you find satisfaction in engagement itself rather than in the results of engagement? What is this fulfillment that needs no achievement to be complete? This success that requires no recognition? This satisfaction that emerges not from getting what we want, but from being fully present to what we already have?